I'm about to bring up on the screen the one and only Scott Chase. Now, Scott Chase is with Cumulus Media. There's Scott Chase. What's up, man?
Dude, what's up, man? Good to see you, dude.
I was just getting ready to do the big intro. You're with Cumulus, and that's the and I'll let you tell everybody the brands of radio. Tell everybody the radio stations inside your building, sir.
Okay, well, it's Cumulus Media who owns the Chattanooga stations, and the station began way back when in 1978. Actually, it was KZ106 and WGOW AM at 1150, which we still have, and then we grew by a couple of other stations as time went on. We gained 102.3, and it became Talk Radio 102.3, and then 107.9, which is our national icon country radio station. So there are four. They're a grouping of four, very much like the number 4 that's on your jersey right there.
There we go. Yeah. That's right. That's rugby jersey. All right. So I think I came to work at the Radio Ranch in 96 or 97, and I stayed till 2004. Then I had another run from 11 to 12 or 10 to 11 or 10 to 12. I can't remember. But I love how y'all we always called it the Radio Ranch.
We did.
And it's still called the Radio Ranch. And you had Lake Newburgh in the back.
Yes.
And there used to be a basketball goal out there that we would go out and waste time on.
Yes, it's still there. Nobody's playing on it much. The net, it needs a new net, as I remember. And it probably could be. In fact, somebody told me to take it down the other day. It kind of hurt me a little bit because I couldn't take it down. You know, there's a little history there. Yeah, it started with Don Newberg, and that's when we started calling it the Radio Ranch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It always has been. In and out. It's always been on Pineville Road. Since I've been there, actually. I think the region was at Golden Gateway to begin with in the early days, and then moved over to Pineville Road, Moccasin Bend, then shortly after that.
Yeah, that basketball goal has needed a new net since 96 at least. It's been the same damn net since 96. You know, a lot of times I've had you on the podcast, during the break podcast.com. I had you on a year or so ago, and we'll talk a little bit about rock and roll here in a minute and radio.
Sure.
But you know, one of the things that I think people forget the history of KZ106. You said it started in 1978. Is that correct?
Yeah, August. Our birthday coming up next month, actually. Yeah.
When did the morning zoo start?
That was, well, let's see. I arrived in 85 on New Year's Day. I began. Did my interviewing during the Christmas holidays in 84 and came back and forth a couple of different times there. And, well, the morning zoo was I will say probably 2 years after that. So in the neighborhood of 86 or 87, we started the morning zoo.
Man, I loved the morning zoo. Then, you know, everybody growing up in the 80s, you had the turn and burns. You know, we'd be out at the lake or something, and everybody be like, the radio folks, all right, everybody, if you've been on your stomach for 30 minutes, turn it over.
I did the midday chaser, turn alerts, man. I did when I came to KZ. I was a midday person. Now I was the midday chaser. Years ago, and then we put together the morning zoo, and to put together the morning zoo, we pulled up David Earl Hughes, who was doing afternoons on WGOW AM in those days, and in those days it was a music station too, and played music, and David Earl became a part of that show, and Jay Scott, the jammer, was doing nights on KZ106. We pulled him off nights, and then we put him on, and then Randy Ross was the zookeeper. I told Randy, he's probably my best buddy in the world. I said, dude, I don't know how you know so many people or how many people know you, but I run into people all the time. And I mentioned Randy Ross. And he goes, oh, yeah, I went to school. I don't know how big his class was in school in Rossville, but it had to be thousands of people. And so he was the zookeeper and put it all together. And then we had Wally Copter, who was Greg Schaefer. We had Mary Dabney was a part of that. She was Ophelia Buns.
I love Mary.
And the KZ Morning Zoo, there was multiple personality morning shows that started popping up across the country, and they were very popular. Yeah. And Greg Schaefer was instrumental in putting together ours and did a great job.
I'll give everybody that grew up in the 80s a little bit of down memory lane here. If you were in the 80s, you remember Brainerd Road on Friday and Saturday nights, and there was this little thing called Studio in the Sky.
Yeah, everybody wants to talk about that, man. It was fun. That was right there where the building. It's been empty for a while, but I understand somebody has purchased that hunk of property that's right there where the car wash was, and what was a bank, and I guess Iger Optical was there last, but somebody I can't know exactly what it's going to be, but yeah, right above the car wash on Brainerd Road was the KS106 studio in the sky. Miller Beer sponsored it originally, and we didn't drink Miller Beer up there. But
liar. But we're not on the airwaves right now. You can actually tell some truth. I just know that it's a big billboard. It was studio in the sky, and every now and then you would see buckets being hauled up to you guys.
Yeah,
and it's hauled down.
It was hot. It was summertime. It was hot, and we were trying to stay hydrated, and we did that. Man, I was up there. It was late in the evening, I think, one night. I've told the story a couple of times, and we had a ladder there. We just had somebody that had the key in the prize van down below. Dan, the prize van man, was there some of the time, and Johnny Smith, who said Songbirds, he helped out at Studio in the Sky for a period of time way back in the guy down here that's supposed to be watching, because we had a ladder that you kind of climbed up this ladder, then you take it down and get it out of the way so people couldn't just climb up there. Well, I'm up there and I'm hanging out, walking back and forth, waving, checking out the sights, things, and this dude who's got a big raging buzz, man, climbs up the ladder and pops up there. Suddenly he's just right up there with me, kind of weaving around, and I go, dude, what are you doing up here, man? What are you, man? Will you play me a scared song? I go, yeah, we'll play your song. Just be real careful and he got back down. But it's one of those moments where I was thinking, man.
Hey, Scott Chase, your insurance company's on the other line. I'll play it if you can show me your KS106 gold card. So.
Liability 101. Yeah, that was fun. That was so fun.
Good times.
Julie and I had just met in the and I remember Julie and I actually met at Riverbend. We met one year. Her parents were part of the Ottawa Band Boosters, and they ran a little car lot there, and they parked cars, and that was actually near Kirkman, I think, where that was. I met her one year and saw her, and we hung out a little bit, and I didn't see her again until the next year. And we hit it off then, and I said, man, you still doing that? And I remember one day that I got her to give me a ride back home from the Studio in the Sky. I love that girl. Appreciate it.
Shout out to Julie. There you go.
Yeah, that
you know, a lot of times people may not realize this. When I started working there, 1079 was easy. What was it? It was with Vicky, when Vicky was the manager there.
What was the name of what was GT108?
GT108. That's what it was when I was started working there.
Yeah, that's a great radio station. Greg Schaefer worked on that station.
Yeah. Well, and here's what's happening. You know, all the music that was, modern when I was growing up is now classic.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Yeah. Funny how that is. Yeah.
It is. And so, one last thing about the stations, and then we'll talk some stories.
Sure.
I think people also may not realize how early to the game talk radio, the 102.3, bringing talk to the FM side of it was, because back in those days, AM was really the talk where everybody went for talk. That's where your Rush Limbaughs were, all the overnight stuff. That kind of was the talk signals. And when it started going to FM around the country, talk radio here in Chattanooga, I remember I was working there and people were like, talk radio on FM. And I was like,
yeah, it was groundbreaking. It really was. That was that was pretty amazing. And it gave us the opportunity to really cover the whole spectrum of news talk radio, where our AM could be and still is news talk 1150, and it has the Rush Limbaughs and more of the nationally syndicated shows, although it's had plenty of local programming over the years. And then our FM could be more live and local, with local personalities talking local topics. So yeah, it gave us a wonderful platform to cover the news talk spectrum on two different frequencies, AM and FM.
And man, and from talk radio going from AM to FM, and I think personally that was the forerunner of all these video talk programs. You have TV talk shows, podcasting. I mean, it really all, in my mind, goes back to the roots of that talk product. I think we owe those forefathers and mothers of that a big thumbs up.
Yeah, there was I'm just thinking back over the years, the different people that had shows on talk radio, which was Gene Coleman, the rest his soul, man. He was the preacher that married Julie and I, as a matter of fact, in downtown. He had a show there for a while. Don Welch had a show on talk radio. I mean, the people in and out of the door that were showcased is pretty amazing. I mean, really is.
We were talking about this before we came on. I mean, just KZ. I mean, if you just think about all the big local and regional personalities that had come through the doors, whether it was on the country, was it 107.9 signal, KZ, or talk, they are a who's who of local media, whether it's TV people, radio people, or just entertainers.
Yeah, we've been in the Radio Ranch, spawned a lot of talent. And
do you still like radio, man? Do you still like doing radio?
Man, I love radio. I love what I do. I tell people that all the time. The environment right now with, the virus is different because I am a guy, man, I am out in the public and I shake thousands of hands and hug and go to events and bring on bands and go to places. And there just hasn't been as much of that. And so that's been a little weird, a little odd. That's the one ingredient that been missing a little. Not that we haven't gotten out some and haven't done the right thing, but there's been not as much of that social as there has been. But I can tell you what, just being on the radio today, and has the technology changed? Yes, it has. When I first started in radio, we played records. I played albums in 45. And we went to 8 tracks, and then we went to CDs, and then we got it all on a hard drive now. So that technology has changed. When we took phone calls or recorded things, commercials or things we're going to play in the future, we used to record on a reel-to-reel, and you had tape and chalk, and you marked it and cut it, and would cut it. The tape. So yeah,
you would cue it up.
We would cue it up.
Right.
You cue up the records. Past a little burn in the record because you cued. So yeah, Ken, it's different now. We can take calls now. We can edit those down much easier. So the technology has changed, but what hasn't changed is the one-on-one relationship that an announcer or talent has with his audience and with his listenership. Because there are people that listen to the radio at the pool and big gatherings and maybe in a garage or in an office. But a good hunk of the listening will be one-on-one, where it's one person listening to one or a show on the radio, and there is a bond that's built between those two. And many times it's almost a one-way friendship because not everybody goes to every event or promotion. Maybe the people don't play the contest. Maybe they just like to listen, and they listen in. I meet people out on occasion all the time. Actually, they go, "Man, I've listened to you, forever," and but that's because they know my family, my wife's name, my kids, and what they're doing. He goes, "Man, that's really cool that so and so." And it's really interesting. It's sometimes a two-way, but many times it's kind of a one-way friendship where I'm kind of telling them about me.
Well, I used to go to lunch with a lot of you guys and girls for, the 10 years I was there.
Did we buy you, man? Over the years, I couldn't.
Bull crap. I was a salesperson. I was buying y'all. You talent. Your talent ain't paying for nothing. You stop it right now, liar. No, but it was always interesting. And every now and then, talk radio folks like Dr. B or Quake or whoever would talk about some of the salespeople. So we would be on sales calls. They'd be, "Are you the guy that they talked about?" I'd be like, "Yeah." But I would go to lunch with you folks, and people feel like they know you. You're part of their family. They've listened to you for 10 years, so you're their friend. And you said something about, they might be listening to it with a group of people, but that means in their brain, that means Scott Chase and the Kelly McCoys, y'all are at the party with them. Because you're the voice of it. You're the voice behind it. Yeah. That's a pretty cool connection with people.
Oh, I love it, man. It's wonderful.
Has it been hard to keep your energy up during this? Because you are a people person. Have you found that you have to be a little more thoughtful of I got to get my energy levels up because I don't have that other energy? Yeah,
exactly. I have. But you just compensate and you do it. And, there are a number of times I've been on the radio after being out late the night before. I mean, in the early days, I closed down yesterday's a few times, then got up and did morning radio. How that happened and how I did that, I'm not sure. We're in between those records that I had to start the next one.
That's right. A lot of this.
Wow.
There's a lot of this right here. You ever woke up with silence?
Yeah. You got to get your game face on, man. So yeah. it's
shout out to Yesterday's.
Yesterday's, man, did I have fun there? Yesterday's.
It was a great place. I loved Yesterday's.
Yeah.
It was a great place. Do you in radio? And I know I asked you if you love it, but radio has changed a little bit, not a lot, over the last 30 years. And like you said, the technology has changed the connection. But I saw the corporate side coming into it quite a bit on the behind the scenes. And I think if you don't love radio, if you don't love it, I think it would run people away. I think that's true in every business, don't you? If you don't love the core of what you're doing in life, if something changes over here, if you don't really love something, you'll just leave. It ran a lot of people out, I think.
If you don't like what you do, I don't think you're going to thrive either. If work is work, it's work and you draw a paycheck. But if you really enjoy what you do, I think you can really thrive and yourself. And you can't let things get in your way. Yeah, are there people up the line that you have to answer to? Yeah, there are, but isn't there always? Who doesn't have to report to or answer to someone? And we happen to work for a really great company, to be honest with you. So I got no problems. And the other thing is, as far as the listeners go, and the people that are advertisers with our radio station, it's just me. It's Scott Chase, KS106 to them.
I'll give you guys credit. I think what happened, and I think you've seen it, in the early or mid 2000s, I think corporate was really tightening up on everybody, not just the radio industry in general. But I think over the last 5 years, corporate's kept some structure, but they've kind of taken their hands off a little bit, because I think people up the chain that are radio people really know that the power of what Scott Chase and everybody does on the talk product or the country station comes from what you have been talking about. The power comes from how you interact with the local people, and you can't strangle that away. You've got to leave that intact.
You can't. You have to. Well, I think it's the localism is what it amounts to. You have to be the guy that can talk about the work that's being done on 27, the guy that talks about the pothole, the new recreation place, the new playgrounds being built in the school or something like that. I'm going to wet my whistle. This is water in this glass, so don't think I'm drinking any moonshine out of a mason. Okay,
right? Just don't light a flame around it. You'll be all right.
That's good. But
let's do this,
man. It's all about the localism. That's because as there have been a lot of things that people have said, man, that's going to be into radio. Cassettes around now. You can put that cassette in your car and go anywhere. I'll never listen to radio. Not the case. 8-tracks, not the case. CDs, not the. So there are a lot of options out there to get entertainment and content and music and classic rock. But if you can be that glue in between the songs and the commercials that people can identify with and appreciate, that's going to make radio last forever and ever. It's still very, 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 very vital, more than any other medium.
I agree 100%. I've said this to you guys, and I know you've got some big plans soon, but I think radio, especially that talk format and music format, has segued nicely into the next thing that runs side by side with it, which is podcasting, which I'm looking forward to stuff like that. But I will say something to you that I've said to other people, and everybody says this is about their industry, but I mean it. The best arguments on planet Earth are inside a radio building. When you get all those personalities that are working that hard together as a team, I saw and I was part of some of the best arguments of all time, and I loved it.
Well, the level of passion, man. Oh, I'm right. Nobody, I'm right. But good things come from, I'm not going to say arguments, but heated conversations about things like that, because you start with one idea. And then what we do, we build promotions and cool things and community involvement, and we come up with clever names and we promote the things. When we hash out things, I think we usually improve. The product on the other side is better.
I love that. I loved how you used the word hashed out. You very well done, you diplomat. That's very well done. I would just know that when I worked there, people would be like, "Hey, come downstairs." I'd get a text or come downstairs, everybody. And you'd just be peeking around the corners, listening, going, "Ooh, that was a good one."
Yeah. Lockhart, I want to have to stick this in my. You ever had?
Oh, dude, I had
number 2 pencil right now.
I'd been at the Radio Ranch I think I was on my 3rd week. 4th week. And they had this giant meeting upstairs. And people may not realize, but back in the day, we had, of course, all the KZ talent. And you guys are, legendary. But at the time, we also had, some of the same folks you still have, like Scott, my man, Quake, and the gentleman, and JR. But we had Wally. We had Dr. B. We had, Jeff. We had other people. And, man, Bill Lockhart was in there, and something was said, and I'm new. And Bill Lockhart pulled what you just said. He picks up a pencil and he goes, "I'll tell you what. If he goes, if and I won't say a bad word, but he goes, if someone says that one more blanking time, I'm going to take this blanking number 2 pencil, and I'm going to stick it directly into my blinking eye." And he's loud, and I'm new. I've got a tie on. And I'm going.
Bill Lockhart, man, one of my best buds. I've worked with Bill before. We worked in another market before here years ago. We worked in Henderson, Kentucky together in the Evansville, Indiana market. And one of the first times I met him, and I'll tell you this story too, because he's, him, and he's funny, and he can get volatile. So I'm doing a show on this music station, and on the other side of where I was, the control board, there was the news board. And in the newsroom there, he brought carts in that had what we call actualities, which would be the mayor or the police chief or some kind of newsmaker saying, and then the mayor's done this too, boom. And at that point, you hit the audio. Well, he put it in, but I didn't know that I had the buttons to hit the audio from this side, and nobody ever told me. And so he's doing these stories, and so and so and so and so. And the mayor said, and I'm like, and so I didn't play any of his 3 actualities. And at the end of that newscast, man, he went off on me. It was brutal. It was ruthless. But we became like best buds. And so he left there and went to Cincinnati. I came down here, and then the position became available. And in our radio station, we snatched him up and hired him and brought him into town.
I think Quake has a similar story when he was getting into the business with JR. I think if you ask Quake, there's a story of, and of course they're great friends now and been colleagues for decades. But you got to earn your bones a little bit, and I had a few of those. A few of those stories.
Anybody that's run and engineered and did the play for JR's play-by-play, they'll have stories about JR. Scott McMahon told me that story.
But you know why? Because JR is the best at it. He is a perfectionist.
Exactly. That's exactly why. I can't remember what Quake did or didn't do, but off the air, down the line, I remember JR something to pull. Well, you'll not have a job on Monday, son. You'll not have a job on Monday at this radio station.
Well, I've said this 100 times. I don't know how JR, and I know he's probably been offered, but JR's talent is so good. He is so good at what he does on that play-by-play and professional. I know 2 or 3 guys that have worked with him, and they're all like, dude, when you're on with him, it doesn't matter if it's a ping pong match, a football game of any scale, it's going to be done right.
He's so good.
I'll tell you a funny story, and then I got a series of questions, and then I'll let you go. So I, as a salesperson, I've learned lessons the hard way, but one of them is the little closet back there, which the AM control room where Greg Schaefer stays a lot. I don't know if y'all let him out to eat or whatever, but as a salesperson, every now and then I would need some magic done behind the scenes, right? I would need some assistance.
Yeah.
And us salespeople are kind of bad until you get trained, behavior modification sets in, of just kind of walking into a studio. Just walking in. Hey, you knock and open the door as you go in. Well, in that room, that's where he does some voiceover stuff, and there's a little light above it that says, I needed something coming up as a Friday, of course. I needed something for Saturday, and I just kind of knocked and opened the door, and he looked over at me, and I looked at him, and he kind of pushed me outside, and he said, "Can you see okay?" I went, "Yeah, why?" He looked up, and he just grabbed the door right in my face and went, "Shut the door back." And I'm sitting to look at that little window like,
he's making his radio magic, man. You got to
I love you. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's good times. Good times. All right. So let's do this. Let me do a series of questions with you. And then,
okay. They're not hard, are they? Are they easy?
Yeah. Okay. No, they're hard. No. So best concert Scott Chase has ever been to? Ooh.
Oh my goodness, the best concert.
If you could go back to one concert and go, I can only visit one concert in time, where do you go?
1970, I don't know what year it would have been. It was Roberts Stadium in Evansville, Indiana. And the lineup was headlining was Leonard Skinner and the Outlaws and Molly Hatchet.
Wow.
And the Outlaws opened, Molly Hatchet opened, then the Outlaws played, and then Leonard Skinner played. That's Ronnie, and that was the band at the Alan Collins, Gary Rossington, Billy Powell, Leon Wilkeson, and Ronnie Van Zant. I remember sitting there listening as they were playing Saturday Night Special, and I was thinking, this is incredible. What a moment this is, because they were so tight. You know, one of the most well-rehearsed bands ever was Ronnie Van Zant with Leonard Skinner. He was a taskmaster. I mean, to the point, if you weren't playing the licks right, he would beat the heck out of you right there at band practice. Where many of the guys, I mean, Ed King finally left, and he was with the band. He was on stage that night. But I remember they played Saturday night, and then they played Freebird, and I remember I could almost chills run over me right now. That's probably the best. Although, man, I saw Aerosmith in Las Vegas last year, and it was killer, man.
Really?
Oh my gosh, they were so good. And the Stones concerts, and I don't know, it's hard.
Have you ever been to a concert where your expectations weren't high going into it, and afterwards you were like, no, that was way better than I expected?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Great. Who? Is there one?
Say that. Tesla. Tesla is a band that I thought was particularly good, better than I thought they would be live. I don't know.
Is there somebody you've met? Is there some people that you've met that disappointed you, or people that you met?
John. Oh yeah. I thought Elton John. I met him. He was releasing. I can't remember what album it was now, but they brought a bunch of radio guys into Atlanta, and I've told you the story, and it was a little. I can't remember what kind of building, kind of a recording studio. It was all catered. We're all hanging out. And there's probably 50 of us, I guess. And Elton John walks out, man, and sits down and plays. And he's like, as far as me as that guitar. He's right there and plays Tiny Dancer, Rocket Man. And then I met him, and he was kind of blew me off because I was, he was Elton John and I was Scott Chase, the Midday Chaser. It was kind of odd. And here's the other thing. And he's from Indiana. I grew up in Indiana too. I met John Mellencamp backstage one time, and he just wasn't very nice. And I thought, man, I love your music. You're a great writer. And he just wasn't as nice as I thought he should have been.
That's disappointing. I love John Cougar.
I do too. I do too. Still do.
Can you play the guitar? Do you play?
Yeah, not very well. I'm not very well though. No.
I didn't know you played.
Curtis Lowe, a couple songs. I play a couple tunes.
Do you play any other instruments or just the guitar?
Just guitar. My dad taught me to play the guitar years ago. He was a player. He played violin, fiddle, and he played great fiddle. And he would show me the chords and show me and I'd play kind of rhythm backup to him playing lead violin, because he and his whole family, his brothers, his dad played mandolin, he played violin or fiddle, and then his brother played guitar. So he taught me to play. He was a good player. I'm not a player.
You're doing music all day, man. That's your life. So when you're at home or you're listening to something, what do you consume? Do you consume a lot of classic rock still, or do you go to jazz, or do you listen to something else? What's on the playlist when you're not doing what you have to do?
Wow. I listen to a lot of different things. Somebody asked me the other day, I think it was on Facebook, a lead guitar lick that doesn't get the credit that it's due. And I came up with a track off of Buckingham Nicks that called Frozen Love that Lindsey Buckingham played the lead on. I don't know. I listen still to a lot of classic rock. I am a habitual listener though to songs. I'll catch a tune or something that I've heard or just heard or maybe heard a long time ago, and I listen to it, and I'll drive my wife crazy, because even like on America's Got Talent, somebody can be on there and they'll do something that's particularly good. I might run it back and listen to it 4 or 5 times in a row habitually. So I listen to a lot of things, but I still listen to plenty of what we play because it's the music that I genuinely really love. I do.
That's awesome. All right, let's do this. Let's play a quick game of Would You Rather. 3 questions, and then I'll let you go. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is where people really get to know Scott Chase, and this really tells us a lot about you, Scott Chase. Are you ready? Are you a beer, whiskey, or wine drinker? If you drink at all, or do you drink at all?
I drink. I probably at one point I drank more beer than anything. Now I think I probably drink more red wine.
There you go. Red wine.
But I drink some whiskey, tequila, and
and
whatever's in this jar right now sometimes too.
All right, you can only have one for the rest of your life: pancakes or waffles.
Pancakes.
Oh, okay. See, I said that at first too, but then I started thinking waffles have those little butter traps that are built in, those little squares that can catch the butter.
Waffles and then ridges. Waffles have ridges, don't they?
They do.
Okay.
Hey, there's nothing called, there's something called Pancake House in Gatlinburg, but it's not Waffle House. You can only have one for the rest of your life: onions, tater tots, or French fries.
Onions, tater tots, or French
onion rings. Onion rings.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with tater tots.
That a boy. Good call. Last question: if you could have a superpower, would you want to be super strong, super fast, fly? What would be Scott Chase superpower?
Fly. Man, I used to dream I could fly a lot, but I'm kind of scared of heights, so I never really flew very high.
Yeah.
I always flew like kind of treetop high, or sometimes I'll be running real fast, and I could almost just begin to levitate a little bit like they run. I think I'd probably want to fly, but not real high.
Kind of like a Greatest American Hero, where you're just and then you crash land. I think I agree with you. If I could be just high enough to where if I fell, it would hurt, but wouldn't kill me, but I could fly, I would take that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good.
All right, do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find you every day in case somehow they don't know where they can listen to you on KZ106.
Right between the speakers, man, at 106.5 FM, KZ106. You listen on the KZ106 app. Any kind of smart speaker, put your Alexa to work for you and enable that KZ106 skill and listen to us there, or the stream at KZ106.com. Well, wherever you listen, we appreciate it. Man, thank you, by the way. We got some, and Clint, by the way, and myself, we have some big plans we'll be unleashing about things we'll be doing over the coming weeks that I think everybody will like.
We're going to jumpstart. We're going to jumpstart some stuff.
The name actually came up in this little session we did earlier. So
it did.
There's a tease, right?
Yes, we're going to jumpstart some stuff. And I always like to do this. If we get comments, I like to, because people take the time to make a comment. Chuck Von Schaaf said, I would fly low as well. Chuck graduated Eastridge, but doesn't live here in Chattanooga. I think I'm sure. I think he lives up in the Chicago area, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
But hey, thanks for listening in, Chuck, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you. Hope it didn't run all your fans away today, man.
All 3 of them, dude.
Hey, man, I got a Bonnaroo shirt on. There's something we all missed this year, too, wasn't it?
What we missed, Bonnaroo?
Oh, yeah. Love Bonnaroo. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe next year when we figure all this stuff out.
You may be. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I think everybody's ready.
You're a good dude. You're good through and through, man. I don't care what anybody says about you. You're good.
Don't listen to them. Only listen to the people that say good stuff about me. Thanks, Scott Chase.
Thanks, man. See you.
See you. Bye.